Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, episode 6. So we're going to go straight into this with full spoilers because we're deep into the season now since we're coming up on the finale, I think, in the next couple episodes or so. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. But make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, check out the Patreon if you want to see reactions to these episodes. So yeah, let's begin. All right, so I really like this episode. So this episode is a lot of fun. I kind of felt the budget again a little bit with this episode, but this episode was basically surrounding what is probably the most well-known thing about this first book and the entire like pop culture nature around it, and including the movie that wasn't very well received by book fans, but overall was a fairly decent movie in a lot of people's opinion. But it's the Lair of the Lotus Eaters. So the situation with this episode is like it's impossible to not compare the two because the one of the actually good things that movie did was the scene with the Lair of the Lotus Eaters. The way in which they adapted the scene from the book and the entire concept as a whole was done so well. It was received very well by book fans and all general fans and stuff. So it's actually kind of difficult to go directly up against that. And with this also not being, an aged up cast, it's harder to kind of just play off them not being adults. So in the movie, they kind of play off that they look old enough because I mean everybody in the movie is like well older than they should have been, but you can kind of play off them being in a casino a lot easier. In the book, it was kind of more like a Dave and Buster's kind of a thing, like kind of a arcade kind of more leaning arcade, less casino. And this adaptation, of course, they went casino again, but it makes it a little stranger because they're 12 and like going into a casino. I don't know how it is in Vegas if like children, because Vegas is like casinos everywhere, if children can just go into casinos and they just pay attention whether or not they're gambling. But like them just going through it, like that kind of stuck out in my head. But overall, the entire thing was interesting. But if I can't help but compare it. Honestly, I like what they did in the movie better. I think it all played out a lot better. It was a lot more exciting. It was a lot more enjoyable. This version, though, I thought was kind of fascinating in the way that they did the memory play. It was a lot more jarring, actually, because like when Grover started to lose his memories and stuff, I actually got chills because it crept up so insidiously. Like it's the things you aren't thinking of forgetting, you forget and stuff, and it's just kind of played in this really subtle kind of way, and it just kind of crept up on them. And they put it in a situation where all of them, all three of the group, are very much aware that they could lose their memories and stuff like that, and they would never leave. But they assumed they needed to specifically eat something, like kind of how they did in the movie. They ate the lotus flowers, but they specifically avoided doing that. So they assumed that they would be fine. They didn't realize that the entire area, it's like an area of effect kind of a spell type thing. So they didn't realize just being in the building, you would have these same effects. So they're on their guard for not forgetting things, but then they're forgetting the things they're not thinking of actively remembering. So it happens in this very subtle kind of insidious way that like literally gave me chills. I thought it was really well done, the memory part. But the rest of it overall was just kind of okay. Like they go meet Hermes, which we get a lot of interesting book stuff from. We get a lot of kind of implications about the book backstory line and stuff, which I assume it keeps going. We will get the rest of that entire backstory because we already get mention of Luke's mom and what happened with her. Basically blaming the fact that she's able to see through the mist on her catatonia, essentially. Or yeah, blaming that a bit, like, so, and not whatever. I don't want to kind of just outright spoil it if they get to it later. So yeah, that entire situation, which I only noticed it here. I didn't really notice it in the book as much. But given all the Hermes and Luke's mom and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, Hermes clearly has a favorite because, dude, that cabin has like a whole bunch of kids in there. And did you like have like, because like, he really feels guilty and stuff about Luke and about May and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, did you like? Is that just a room full of people with broken-hearted parents, or is that like? Like you just get like seriously like truly a favorite and just abandon them, and they were well adjusted and kind of moved on or whatever. I don't know, but like it just kind of made that very noticeable to me. This episode was like, he's got a whole cabin full of kids, but he like cares about Luke and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I thought that kind of played out interesting because it's stuff from the books, but it's also kind of an insertion point because it's not really the Lair of Lotus Eaters part of the book really has nothing to do with the quest. Really, they just kind of stumble onto it. So combining the progress of the quest with this idea of going into the lair is kind of cool. But like I said, it plays out kind of in a mundane way. It's a little lukewarm. It's not really awesome and stuff. And considering the lack of action in the rest of the episode, you can tell that every episode they have a specific kind of action thing that'll happen. And in this episode, it was essentially them chasing down an older satyr, trying to find Grover because Grover was off on his own and Percy and Annabeth were together, and they needed to find him in order to try to get out because they realized they had lost multiple days. So that was like the closest thing to an action scene. Like we get him running across the craps table and stuff, and then they tackle him and stuff. It's just like I can't help, especially jumping on the craps table, which is the same thing the other Grover did in the movie adaptation. So like that again makes me just compare the two scenes. So it's like the action in the two different scenes. Like the movie one obviously just blows this one out of the water. So it's just like I feel some type of way about it. Like they didn't even do like the time displaced like video game guy or anything like that because I guess the movie did it. So like it's not accurate to the book and it's not as enjoyable of a change as I would enjoy. So I mean, not to directly compare them or put one up against the other, but the movie one was better. Whatever. But apart from that, we get a lot of other fun little book stuff. So we get Percy calling Annabeth what, brain girl or smart girl? Yeah, brain girl, wisdom girl. I can't even remember it. That's so stupid. But it's like his version of seaweed brain for her. Even though he uses it much less frequently than she uses seaweed brain, but like it's a book thing, and there's like a bit more of Percy's dialogue is starting to feel a bit more like on the same sarcasm level as book Percy's. So I'm enjoying that a lot. And we also get this thing where like it's implied that Grover is like constantly in food, getting food and want food, basically being really greedy and stuff. So like that's a book thing. And like he's in the book, he's always constantly munching. He's always constantly eating stuff, and he's eating interesting things because he's a satyr and stuff. So they don't ever actually show this. No one in this entire show has eaten a single bite of food that we've seen, which is starting to become incredibly noticeable and very weird. Same with the action scenes where Percy doesn't yell. Like I don't understand why he doesn't yell. It's becoming very noticeable. But the entire but anyway, so yeah, there's kind of an offhanded mention about the fact that Grover's like always eating. They're like, don't eat anything, Grover, don't eat anything and stuff. And like when the guy goes to offer him some chips and stuff, it looks like he's about to eat. And then like they deliberately cut away. So the fact that in the episode he forgets more stuff than Percy and Annabeth, like it feels like a point, a specific point being made. So it's interesting to me that they don't actually have him on screen take some of the chips because like if he's we're getting comments about him constantly eating and snacking and stuff, then he would be far more tempted to eat something there, assuming that eating anything has the same lotus effect or whatever. So like it's just very strange. It becomes very noticeable that like, they don't eat on camera or in any scenes at all. Like it was weird with Medusa, like the table full of burgers no one ate, and then the same thing with Ares. Like it was a gigantic mountain of burgers and fries and stuff, and no one ate anything. It's very noticeable at this point. So it's like it's interesting. So the use of Grover, we're getting Grover being slightly more close to book accurate Grover, but it's kind of fascinating because like it feels like they're just saying some of this stuff. Like a lot of this is just like being mentioned and just kind of offhandedly being thrown, but we're not being shown it. Like the thing with Grover and the food and everything. And then like immediately they're claiming best friend status now. Like Percy says that he and Annabeth are Grover's like best friends. I'm like, when did that happen? Like y'all were barely like you and Annabeth just became friends. And did you and Grover ever actually like have a conversation about what he did at Yancey? Like did y'all like officially make up? Are y'all back? Like none of that actually happened. It almost feels like we're missing scenes or something. Like it's kind of interesting. I don't want to say Well, no, I'm just going to say disappointing. I guess I'm being too nice. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. Like the Lotus casino scene and stuff like was not as good as it could have been because like a movie adaptation did a better version of it, and they didn't do it like different enough to be uncomparable to that version. So therefore, it still doesn't work out in my opinion. So yeah, this episode had a lot of fun, like small book things that I really enjoy that I've been waiting for that I want to see. I think the group dynamic is getting where it is in the book. We're getting an actual like friendship between the three and stuff, and it's starting to make a lot more sense. We're getting dialogue that's far more reminiscent of the book, and I'm really enjoying that stuff. But overall, like the stuff as far as progressing the plot of this episode, it was very tepid, very lukewarm, very like not much happened. Very kind of disappointing. Not very disappointing, but pretty disappointing because um, they could have done more. They could have combined more elements into this episode since we're just doing little vignettes, little snapshots, like chapters from the book. Like they could have done more with it. But we ultimately end the episode on Percy trying to go see his dad. And I was like really anticipating this like really hard because I didn't think they were actually going to do like that, like because they mentioned it or whatever in the episode, him seeing his dad in Santa Monica and stuff. But in my head, because I don't have any memory of him meeting his dad early in the book, so I wasn't thinking it was going to happen. And so they end up at the beach. They finally get Hermes' car, and that entire scene of Percy trying to drive out of the parking structure was hilarious. It was hysterical until they got out and they almost got hit by a giant semi, which kind of took the fun out of it. Like it's like, ha ha, 12-year-olds trying to drive, ha ha, to holy crap, this is why 12-year-olds shouldn't be trying to drive. Like it just like switch, like whiplash, tone change, like holy crap. Um, but then we get basically the car teleports them because I like kind of like this interpretation of Hermes. Like instead of him basically being a super speeder like he's often in most adaptations, in this they basically have him be a teleporter. He's like a master of space and time, so he can fold space and time and like that kind of thing, which is like the thing that will ultimately be perceived as speed. So like I think that's kind of cool. It totally works. It's kind of a stretch of the mythology in an interesting way. So he has this car that effectively could just teleport or whatever. So they get in the car and then instead of teleporting them to the location, which I don't think it's going to be. At this point, they're making the way into Haiti seem like a whole thing instead of just like showing up at that record company place, that record producer like recording studio place. So I don't think they're going to do that. But we instead end on them being on the beach and Percy going into the water to go see his dad because he said see you in Santa Monica. So he's like he's going to go try to see him, and I'm like, oh crap! Like, I'm getting like I'm anticipating stuff like, oh, this is interesting. Like he's going to see his dad. We're going to see the actor who plays Poseidon. We're going to see him early and stuff, and they're going to have a conversation. It's going to be cool. And not thinking nothing about it. And then like the this Nereid pops up, and I'm like, son of a, I'm like, why is he not here? Like I was so annoyed by it. It's so funny to me that I got just so enthralled and just so absolutely captured by the entire interaction in the episode. I was like, what? Where is he at? And then she just gives him like these platitudes and stuff. And then this is like where we also get some very true book Percy stuff, where he's basically saying like, no, like your little platitudes, you're passing his message along isn't enough. Like he needs to do something to help, and like he didn't do anything to help, and like I'm having these weird dreams about this guy that's probably Kronos, who is clearly talking to not Clarice, which is a red herring from the book, but he's like we're going through all this stuff. He's like help, like we need you guys to help her, blah blah blah. So this is when she gives him the pearls. This is how he gets the pearls, which is pretty much how he got them in the book. So it's kind of cool. It's like directly accurate. I don't know, something about like I guess it's the budget. Again, these are just budget issues because, like, this is again another scene underwater where it's like they might as well be in what's that really dirty river in New York? I mean, or like just it's really gross, dirty, and murky and stuff. It's really gross all the time, and it's purely just to hide the CGI and stuff, and it's just kind of lame. It's like, come on, you guys, like. You got the. I mean, like they. I mean, well, I guess yeah. It's Disney. They couldn't make underwater look cool in the Little Mermaid movie, so I guess they're not going to make the underwater look really cool in the Percy Jackson show. So I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. Hmm. So yeah, I mean, I guess overall, like this episode is slightly disappointing, but I do feel like they've hit their stride in terms of characterization. The plot and like the overall progression of the show, I was kind of disappointed with in this episode. But like I said, the character dynamic and the chemistry between the actors and stuff, I think that has hit a nice stride, and I'm really enjoying that part of it. But overall, I think this episode was like not as enjoyable. So it's well, I'll probably rank them later, but it's definitely below episode 4 and 5 for me. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and leave it there. Let me know in the comments down below. What did you all think of this episode? Was it kind of disappointing for you? Did it feel just kind of a little lackluster? Do you like the movie version of the casino scene better? Like, yeah, let me know about all that in the comments down below. So as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out the Patreon if you want to see reactions to these episodes. And as always, I will talk to you all next time. Peace.